China is a country whose name you'll want to become very familiar with in the coming years. There are several reasons for this, but I believe China will be the primary driver of growth in the crypto industry over the next few years. Recently, the country has seen numerous major developments that are set to play a pivotal role in the crypto space, and today, I'm going to walk you through these updates. We'll begin by looking at the current state of the U.S. economy before diving into China's economic landscape. Finally, I'll explain what this all means for you, particularly for your XRP, HBAR, XLM, and other investments. These events are incredibly significant and worth paying close attention to because what's happening right now is nothing short of remarkable. Let's start with some data on U.S. federal spending. If you look at this chart, you'll notice that spending followed a fairly consistent trend until a particular period. You may ask, what changed here? If we take a closer look, it aligns with the years 2020 to 2021, just after Biden's inauguration. During this time, federal spending surged dramatically. Later, Biden addressed some of the accumulated debt, but spending quickly spiked again before eventually declining. This era stands out as one of the most problematic, if not the worst, periods in history for federal spending. The Biden-Harris administration has undeniably caused significant harm to the U.S. economy. However, this situation is set to change soon. I anticipate a return to a more sustainable economic path, similar to what we experienced during Trump's presidency. This shift may even lead to a reduction in the national debt. Such a turnaround could spark an era of economic growth so profound that the U.S. could achieve unprecedented levels of prosperity, a period that might be regarded as a new golden age. These golden eras have occurred throughout history, and I believe we're on the brink of experiencing another one within the next 4 years. A critical factor in this economic resurgence will be the U.S.'s relationship with China. China's economy has been expanding rapidly and is on track to surpass all others, positioning itself as the largest economy in the world. If certain things don't change, I don't believe Donald Trump will allow this to continue. The relationship between the United States and China is going to play a critical role in shaping everything, including developments in the crypto world. That's where your attention should be focused. Recently, there were a few major news stories that caught my eye, and one of them was particularly troubling. Joe Biden reportedly commuted or pardoned a Chinese national who was found in possession of over 47,000 images of child exploitation. Let me emphasize that. 47,000 images. It's absolutely revolting. As a new father, I can say without hesitation that someone like this should never be pardoned, under any circumstances. But there's an even more alarming aspect to this story. This individual wasn't just someone found with these horrific images. He was also a Chinese spy, a direct political adversary of the United States. That's the primary reason he was imprisoned. So, the key question is, why would Joe Biden pardon someone like this? The reality might be more complex and far more disturbing than it appears. According to Donald Trump Jr., the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, likely holds compromising information about the Biden family. When you take into account the massive federal spending, the leaked Hunter Biden emails referring to Joe Biden as the big boss, and allegations of money laundering involving countries like Ukraine and China, this theory becomes increasingly plausible. Here's what I suspect is happening. The CCP may be pressuring the Biden administration, threatening to reveal incriminating evidence about the Biden family unless their operatives are released and returned to China. While these spies might officially be imprisoned for crimes like possession of illegal images, the deeper issue lies in their espionage activities that may not have been fully provable in court. So, what's really happening in U.S.-China relations? This may sound speculative, but I genuinely believe the Biden-Harris administration has struck an unspoken agreement with China. In exchange for Biden pardoning individuals like these, China refrains from exposing the Biden family's alleged crimes, such as money laundering and other corrupt dealings. As part of this implicit understanding, China could now be emboldened to take significant actions like invading Taiwan without facing major resistance from the United States. This situation is likely the result of a behind-the-scenes agreement. Here's what you need to understand about China. For their economy to achieve substantial growth, they must break free from their current landlocked position. Right now, the United States has military bases strategically located in Japan, the Philippines, and nearly every other nation surrounding China's maritime borders. This positioning effectively blocks China's access to critical trade routes in the event of a conflict. Whenever China's economy begins to pose a serious threat to the U.S. economy, the United States can escalate tensions and initiate a conflict. This would effectively lock in China, cutting off trade routes and forcing their economy to contract. The U.S. would then reassert its dominance before concluding the conflict on terms that favor American interests. To prevent this scenario, China must secure access to Taiwan as a first step, followed by either the Philippines or Japan. If they accomplish this, they will no longer be vulnerable to economic strangulation during wartime. In such a situation, China could maintain trade routes, protect key industries, like semiconductor production, and sustain economic activity without significant U.S. interference. Now, you might be asking, all right, but what does any of this have to do with cryptocurrency? The answer? Everything. This will all come together shortly. I'm simply outlining the geopolitical dynamics that I believe are currently at play. Let's be honest. Why else would Joe Biden pardon Chinese nationals unless something deeply questionable is happening behind closed doors? On top of that, Biden pardoned his own son, who has been implicated in laundering money from Chinese and Ukrainian political figures. Here's what I believe is happening. Biden is essentially selling out the United States to secure wealth and protection for himself and his family, at the expense of American taxpayers. In doing so, he's allowing China to rise as the world's leading economy. Biden's actions suggest he's no longer prioritizing national interests. As long as his family is safe and well off, that's his primary concern. With all of this in mind, let's connect the dots to cryptocurrency. So, what does this geopolitical situation have to do with crypto? The key point is this. During times of war, cryptocurrency prices historically collapse. Do I believe a full-scale war is about to erupt immediately? I think it's going to take some time. It's going to involve rising tensions and a series of negotiations. While I hope war can be avoided at all costs, it's something we must be prepared for. In a worst-case scenario, if war does break out, we could see a significant single-day correction in cryptocurrency prices. However, I believe the market would recover over the long term, which is reassuring. That said, we also need to think about the role cryptocurrency could play during and after such a period of conflict. Let's consider the current situation. In China, the percentage of people who own cryptocurrency remains very low. Here's the reality. I think the Chinese government is deeply corrupt. I wouldn't trust Xi Jinping as far as I could throw him, and let's be honest, that wouldn't be very far. Jokes aside, I believe many Chinese citizens share a similar distrust toward their government. With only a small portion of the population currently involved in cryptocurrency, combined with a government willing to go to extremes, like initiating wars, to secure its interests, this presents an opportunity. Many Chinese citizens are not having their economic or personal needs fully met, and I predict that over the next 5 years, an increasing number of them will turn to cryptocurrency as a means of escaping government control. I expect cryptocurrency ownership in China will eventually rise to levels similar to those in the United States or Vietnam, which is geographically close, and currently has one of the highest ownership rates in the world at 21.9%. If China reaches this level, it will be monumental. This growth will have an especially significant impact on cryptocurrencies designed for cross-border payments, storing value, and protecting purchasing power. These features will become critical for Chinese citizens seeking financial security, particularly if China's economy begins to deteriorate further. If China fails in its economic efforts and resorts to starting a war with Taiwan, an ally of the United States, it would be catastrophic for their economy in the long run. I don't believe China stands a chance against the U.S., especially given the strategic positioning of U.S. military bases worldwide. Nonetheless, it seems China is heading in this direction. The warning signs are already visible. China's economy is experiencing deflation, which is an extremely troubling indicator. Deflation discourages consumer spending, causes businesses to close, and brings economic activity to a halt.